Another day, another IQ depleting encounter with a PC gaming socialist. I'm well aware there has been at least some speculation and criticism of me blocking PC gaming socialists on Twitter and YouTube. Today, you find out exactly why I do so, and all speculation should come to an end. So as we can see here, in the comment section of my Rest in Peace Original Great Exposure channel video, a PC gaming socialist who goes by the moniker Delta Delis decided to chime in on my recent YouTube channel termination from the imaginary moral high ground he conjured up from the depths of his own rectum. Now, I've had plenty of interactions with this pathetic pile of shit on Twitter, as pretty much any time I state the facts about exclusives and how not anti-consumer they are, this shitbag can't help himself but come into my mentions to outright deny the facts I present without citing any factual evidence of his own and using only his feelings and worthless opinions as the basis for his arguments. So here he is, thinking he's won some kind of victory by bringing up my numerous Twitter bans as well as my recent YouTube channel termination, completely oblivious to the fact that two of his PC gaming socialist lords and saviors, Rags and Fratanga, have also gotten banned from Twitter at least once. Fucking oops. Anyways, you can clearly see his initial post and my response completely destroying him. However, this is a PC gaming socialist we're talking about here. Quitting while they're behind isn't within 1,000 light years of their modus operandi. So the shitbag continues. Notice how in his next response on your screen here, he doesn't even remotely acknowledge the fact I pointed out about the false flaggers having to file fraudulent manual copyright claims, an act that is 100% illegal in order to get my channel taken down? Yeah. That right there perfectly sums up PC gaming socialists in a nutshell. Anytime you bring up irrefutable facts that not only make their arguments look like shit, but also make them look like shit as rational thinking decent human beings, they just flat out ignore said facts and continue to peddle their worthless bullshit. So from what I can gather from this is that this cocksucker is perfectly fine with shithead criminals having to break the law in order to silence people he doesn't like. But I'm the one that needs mental help, right? Bitch, please. Projecting much? The shitstorm of idiocy continues, with a few of my fans coming into the fray. The two things I'll comment on is the part where he says I'm bipolar and that the little things he and his like-minded dipshit PC gaming socialists say is enough to piss me off. First of all, the gist of the definition of bipolar is a person that goes from one extreme to the other on a constant basis. The problem? I've been nothing but consistent in my arguments and how I conduct myself for well over 6 fucking years, which means being bipolar doesn't even remotely apply to me. This is yet another trait that these PC gaming socialists display on a regular basis. Incorrectly using words they obviously don't know the correct definition and appropriate use of. This is one of the major reasons why I refer to them as pseudo-intellectuals. They try to talk a big game like they're the smartest people in the room, but when you actually apply even a basic analysis of what they say, they expose themselves to be utter morons. Second, you're goddamn right the things you and your PC gaming socialist ilk say pisses me off. It didn't at first, as I was perfectly content with just clowning the fuck out of you for how wrong y'all were. But after you clowns showed your true colors and resorted to false flagging, the gloves have come off. Not to mention, as somebody who is a United States military veteran who swore an oath to defend the American way of life, people like you trying to covertly and deceptively convert our society to socialism under the guise of consumer advocacy, you can bet your worthless ass that I'm going to have just a slight personal problem with that. And now we come to the major motivating factor as to why I'm making this video. One of his final YouTube comments directed at me that I didn't even bother responding to before I sent his ass packing off my channel. I'm going to go ahead and address it now to really put into perspective just how stupid he and his fellow PC gaming socialists are. Quote, Fratanga, Alex, and Rags has a higher sub/view count than you'll ever achieve in your lifetime. because despite one of them having 2 or more channels or abandoned the console war arc, they are honest entertainers with clear perspective of the matter at hand. Unquote. This dumb fuck just cannot get past this whole sub and view count thing that I've said numerous times since I first started making videos in 2013 that I don't give a rat's ass about. On top of the perfectly valid reasons why I don't care about them that I went over in the video he's leaving this idiotic comment on, my sub/view count isn't even remotely relevant to the discussion at hand. It's just a shitty defense mechanism based tactic idiots like you use to attempt to dismiss any factual validity that I present. Always has been and always will be. I care far more about being factually correct than being popular. Case in point, all 3 clowns you mentioned. I don't even need to get into Fratanga, as I've beaten that horse to the point that its ancestors felt it. So much so that it led to him being crowned the 2019 Corporate Slave of the Year. Alex is a clown who not only has far more games on Steam than GOG, even though he praised GOG as the superior platform, but who also constantly says Sony exclusives are like interactive movies and walking simulators, while at the same time unironically praising a literal Hideo Kojima walking simulator known as Death Stranding. Alex also tried to say that the Corporate Slave Awards were cringy, even though he had absolutely no problem being a panelist on it during 2017 and 2018. Him saying that probably had something to do with the fact that he was nominated to be in the CSA 2019 brackets for his 300 plus games on Steam and only 30 on GOG, despite trying to put GOG over. People often say that I don't own up to any mistakes I make, but I'm actually going to do so right now. It was a huge fucking mistake on my part to give Black Bond the idea to bring Alex on as a panelist for the Corporate Slave Awards in 2017. Given the absolute pathetic jester he would turn into. I humbly regret that decision. And yes, it was 100% my idea. The one idea I thankfully can't take credit for is Rags being a panelist in the 2016 CSAs. This edgy little puke thinks that just casually throwing around the N-word on Twitter was a bright idea. Not to mention, he is by far one of the worst CSA panel members in the show's history. There were quite a few occasions where I wanted to reach through my computer screen and backhand the shit out of him for saying something stupid or for just being a cringy smartass. So yeah, all the subs and high view counts in the world won't make any of those 3 any less of a pathetic clown. Like I said in the video you left your dumb comment on, subs and views don't define your worth as a person. Your words and actions do. As for having clear perspective on the matter at hand, facts don't give a fuck about your perspectives or your feelings. Quote, they have a good sense in what's fair for the consumer, great for customer support, and bad business practice. Unquote. No, actually, they don't. Because if they knew anything about what the hell they were talking about, they'd know that taking away exclusive games takes away the main driving aspect of competition between the platforms and makes it so the consumer has less distinct choices in what gaming platforms to buy. Less choices equals bad for the consumers. Less choices equals the potential for one platform to obtain an actual monopoly over gaming. Quote, and they'll tackle narrow-minded slaves like you to the ground for spreading lies and misinterpretation not only for the cooperation they love, but to the very community you're a part of. Unquote. Wow. Where do I even start with this? First of all, I've been lenient up until now, but I can't take it anymore. Your grammar is fucking atrocious. Number 1, instead of Fratanga, Alex, and Rags has a higher sub/view count, it should be Fratanga, Alex, and Rags have a higher sub/view count. Number 2, instead of or abandon the console war arc, it should be or abandoning the console war arc. Number 3, Instead of they are honest entertainers with clear perspective of the matter at hand, it should be either they are honest entertainers with a clear perspective of the matter at hand, or they're honest entertainers with clear perspectives of the matter at hand. Number 4, instead of they have a good sense in what's fair for the consumer, it should be they have a good sense of what's fair for the consumer. Number 5, instead of and bad business practice, it should be and bad business practices. Number 6, the statement of for spreading lies and misinterpretation not only for the cooperation they love doesn't make any sort of coherent grammatical sense. Do you mean lies and misinformation? What cooperation are you talking about, and how am I spreading any lies and misinterpretations of it when most of what I say is factual? Is they referring to them or me? If it's referring to me, do you mean corporation rather than cooperation? And number 7, instead of community you're a part of, it should be community you're a part of. Apart means to be separated from, unless that's actually what you meant, in which case the statement should be community you're a part from. So let's say we dock off 10 points for each mistake. That's 70 points, which gives you a 30%. That is a failing grade. That is a straight up F, motherfucker. F on that fucking paper. This is yet another pseudo-intellectual trait these PC gaming socialists display. They'll be quick to say you're stupid or you're intellectually dishonest with elementary school level grammar like this. Not really a wise idea questioning other people's intelligence when you have obvious trouble constructing coherent sentences. You're not only kind of sort of shooting yourself in the foot there, but you're also exposing yourselves to be the children either still in high school or fresh out of high school we all know you to be. Second, your Lord and Savior Fratanga has had nearly 2 years to address my retarded exclusives or anti-consumer argument video, and he never fucking did, despite him having the time and putting in the effort to go after other much easier targets, and despite him knowing full well of my video's existence. The question is, why didn't he? Might it have something to do with the fact that every time he and I clashed over Twitter, I made him look like the utter mental midget and social reject doofus he is? I mean, seriously, he talked a big game about potentially addressing my video, but he never did. I mean, if I didn't know any better, I'd say my EO factory nerves detected the distinct aroma of fear, which was completely justified on his end because I would have utterly obliterated him if he would have even attempted to address my video. Just like I'm obliterating your dumbass right now. So much for him tackling me to the ground, huh? Third, exclusives being the main competitive driving force between gaming platforms isn't a lie. PS4 and Nintendo Switch's sales dominance being because of exclusives isn't a lie. Xbox One's lack of sales being because of a profound lack of exclusives isn't a lie. PC having the large user base that it does, partially if not primarily because of exclusives, isn't a lie. All of those statements are 100% factual, and neither you or any of your idiotic PC gaming socialist friends can find any sort of factual evidence to refute them. If you could, you would have done so by now. But you haven't. Instead, you just leave me stupid comments like this. Fourth and finally, what exactly am I a slave of? I game on PS4 and PC, with the PC getting far more gaming time than the PS4. If it had enough exclusives that I personally care about, I'd get a Nintendo Switch as well. Ditto for the Xbox One. If we entered Bizarro World, where the Xbox Series X somehow got more high-quality exclusives than the PS5, I would buy it over the PS5 while still gaming on the PC. I've criticized Sony for resting on their laurels too much and letting too many of their exclusive IPs just sit and rot away. I've criticized Microsoft for not having any exclusives on the Xbox One. I've criticized Nintendo for making weak hardware to the point where some of their exclusives have performance issues. I've criticized Steam for not fighting back against Epic by having more exclusive games of their own, and I've criticized Epic for not having any real exclusives and just timed exclusives. And lastly, I've also criticized the PC in general for all the technical issues users can run into when compared to consoles. Since I've now established that I've thrown criticism towards just about every single gaming platform on the market, I say again, what exactly am I a slave of? You also realize you left this dumb comment on a video where the gameplay was captured on PC, right? Quote, all this without spazzing like a spastic time bomb, getting triggered but the things you don't like. Unquote. You mean triggered by the things I don't like? Again, not really helping your case when it seems painfully evident that you're just frantically flailing away at the keyboard like you're mad as fuck. Also, this coming from somebody who would constantly come into my mentions whenever I posted anything on Twitter about you PC gaming socialists, without even name dropping any specific one, even on new accounts when I blocked you on previous ones. That sounds like spazzing out to me. Quote, you're not an honest man, let alone a sane one. Unquote. And you are? Motherfucker, you heavily implied that you're okay with people trying to shut me up by illegal means. You constantly denounce irrefutable facts that conflict with your gaming socialism mentality. You're goddamn Anakin Skywalker when it comes to how much solid ground you have to say this shit to me. You overestimate your own abilities of self-awareness. More specifically, that you have none. Quote, and there's reason to believe the impact you have in reality. Especially when you're mocking a stereotype that, well, let's be honest, you're living up to look, tongue emoji. Unquote.
English, motherfucker, do you speak it?
Quote, get help. Stay away from the computer. Unquote. Yeah, that's basically you getting your legs figuratively chopped off right now. Quote, get off the console. Unquote. Again, I've been playing on the PC more this entire generation than any other console. The gameplay footage taken for this video, recorded on a PC. In fact, all the gameplay footage for every video on this channel so far was recorded on my PC. I have exactly 7 PS4 games and 126 games on my Steam account. Sounds like I stay off the console plenty. Quote, and seek out people willing to help you. Unquote. Oh, you mean like a girlfriend that I've been with for 11 years come this May? Yeah, I'm not the one in need of help, clown. I'm not the one living in a socialism fantasy world, nor am I the one advocating for censorship of others by illegal means. You can stop being Anakin Skywalker with the profound lack of high ground any time now. Quote, because telling me to leave life is not helping you in the long run. Unquote. It's potentially helping society by letting you know that your idiocy has the potential to present a physical threat to others. Kinda like, you know, anti-vaxxers. They fanatically deny facts and reality just like you PC gaming socialist clowns do. Quote, you're an unhealthy individual from inside out. Unquote. Healthy individuals don't live in their own fantasy world where facts are meaningless. Healthy individuals aren't okay with people having to break the law in order to try to silence somebody they don't like. Not only have your legs been chopped off, you're also on fire right now. Quote, PS, Xbox, and Nintendo Live services are a ripoff. Unquote. Why are you even bringing that into a discussion about platform exclusives? It doesn't have any fucking relevance, not only because they're unrelated, but also because the majority of PS4 and Nintendo exclusives are single-player games where you don't even need to buy the live services in the first place. I don't fucking pay for any console live services because not only do I know they're a waste of money, but because I don't even need them for most of the type of games I play on consoles. Any game I have any interest in playing multiplayer on, which is very few, I get them on the PC. That doesn't invalidate the purpose of consoles in any way, and it's just more sidestepping bullshit on your part. Quote, teraflops are a vague exaggeration of quality. Unquote. Again, relevance? There is none. Nintendo Switch has a single teraflop, yet has outsold the Xbox One X, which has 6. Want to know the major difference that distinguishes the two, which has caused the platform with inferior hardware to outsell the one with superior hardware and features? Exclusives! Quote, exclusive titles are anti-consumer. Unquote. Nope.
The crazy thing, though, is how they say that exclusives are anti-consumer. And I'm like, no, that's the exact opposite. Exclusives and competition are pro-consumer. Elimination of exclusives would be anti-consumer, because then you wouldn't have a choice.
Correct.
They're not old enough to remember Sonic versus Mario, Crash versus Mario, and the reasons why the 16-bit era was considered the best competition, because Nintendo made a game, Sega won-up that game, then Nintendo won-up Sega's game, and then Sega went back and made a better game, and then Nintendo made a better game. It kept going back and forth and escalating. They were pushing each other to make better games. Now people are like, oh, I just want services. I don't want games. Tell me how that Xbox is doing with no games and nothing but services.
Exactly. Most powerful console, at least the Xbox One X variety, and it arguably, debatably, has more features than PS4. And yet it's dead fucking last.
Yep. Oh, it's all about services. It's not about game. Okay, then why do you play the Switch? And they all play the Switch.
Now, I'm sure your next query will be, well, how do you know that exclusives have been what primarily drives competition? Doesn't more powerful hardware have more of a competitive edge over exclusives? Spoken like a true hypothetical Johnny-come-lately and or born-in-3D gamer. Allow me to address your line of questioning with a little history lesson. I know this area of gaming is before y'all's time, so please try to keep up. Let's set the Wayback Machine to summer of 1989, with the release of the Sega Genesis in the US. Now, most people say that the Genesis's direct competitor was the Super Nintendo, and for the most part, that's factually correct. However, the Super Nintendo didn't hit the US market until summer of 1991, 2 full years after the Genesis. That means that the original NES, an 8-bit system, was competing with the Genesis, a 16-bit system which was in just about every way technically superior to the NES. Surely that would guarantee that the Genesis would absolutely blast, no pun intended, the NES in the ass based on these people's idiotic logic of hardware specs and feature set being the main competitive elements, right? Yeah, about that. We can let the 1989 sales figures slide because when the Genesis came out, there were only 4 more months left in that year, so it wouldn't be a fair comparison. But what about in 1990 and 91, when the Genesis had plenty of time to gain its stride? The NES, the inferior 8-bit system, completely pushed the Genesis's shit in, despite the Genesis being the superior piece of hardware. Now, how could that be possible? Oh, that's right, a better library of exclusives. And guess what? That's not the only example of this phenomenon. The PS1 was, from a spec standpoint, inferior to the N64 and arguably the Sega Saturn as well, yet it outsold them both. The PS2 was hands down inferior to both the GameCube and Xbox from a spec standpoint, and only being superior to the Sega Dreamcast. Guess what the main aspect was that won Sony the day in both instances? Exclusives!
No. Yeah, I remember when they say, but grocery stores don't have exclusives.
They do.
I saw when you posted all those Walmart exclusives and like Whole Food exclusive brands and everything.
Oh, but I don't have to pay a fee just to fucking go in that store just to pay more money for their exclusive brand.
You do if you want to shop.
Costco?
Yeah, you do a shop Costco and BJ's.
Heard of Sam's Club?
BJ's.
Ever heard of clubs where you have to pay a fucking cover charge to get in?
Yep.
Just to spend more money on liquor?
There you go.
Like, do y'all motherfuckers not have any life experience whatsoever?
No, they don't. And what's funny is he goes, he can't go into Pizza Hut and ask for a Big Mac. He's right, but those places don't charge him to walk in the front door. Okay,
and
you know
my
what?
response to
Hold on,
that was,
before you even continue, you know what place doesn't charge you to walk into their door? The Epic Game Store, and they still cry and bitch about that.
Exactly. My fucking response to that, which I retweeted, and I quote, "This is one of the most idiotic arguments you PC gaming socialists repeat ad nauseum. Number one, there are places that charge just to walk in the door, i.e. Costco, Sam's Club, etc. Number two...
Clubs, bars...
Number two, the entry fee gets you something that has functionality out of the box without any games needed. So your comparison and argument it doesn't work. It's not valid at all.
Here's what I want to know. Who's going out to New Year's tomorrow and isn't going to be charged entry into wherever they're trying to go?
Nobody.
Exactly.
The Sky City restaurant in Seattle requires paid entry into the Space Needle to fucking access it. Is that anti-consumer? Nobody's fucking said it's anti-consumer because it's not.
This is just out of control. And then
for me, this is like saying it's so stupid that I have to pay for a ticket to get into Disney World so I can get my picture taken with Mickey Mouse. I have an annual pass to Six Flags. I demand that all the Disney characters be at Six Flags with the Warner Brothers characters so I can get a picture of myself with Mickey and Bugs Bunny at the same time.
And don't forget
it's anti-consumer that I should have to pay two different gate prices.
Don't forget the Universal Studios attractions too.
Oh, God damn it.
Yo, why do I have to pay a cover to get into the club and then have to buy drinks?
Exactly. And the drinks are probably overpriced.
Yeah. No, but
how come I have to pay an entry fee at this club and that entry fee doesn't cover me for every club in town? That's anti-consumer.
How come you have to have more than one streaming service to be able to watch all the trending new fucking streaming series?
Because here's also the thing. Would The Mandalorian exist if it wasn't for Disney Plus? No.
Yep.
It wouldn't. That's the whole point. They made a show that is good and popular. I think it's pretty good. To get you to subscribe to the platform. Netflix made The Witcher to get you to subscribe to the platform.
Exactly. And that's also why Disney did not have every episode available immediately so that you could, marathon it, because they didn't want you to watch it all in one day and then cancel your service.
Yep.
They wanted to make sure that for at least 8 weeks, you were going to, for 2 months, they were getting their $6.99.
And that you were, browsing around, checking things out. Because if it was just a one-day thing, you would download it, watch it, be done with it. But now, for the past 8 weeks, oh, it's got this. I'll try. You know what? This is actually pretty good. I'm going to keep it. But I see. But Sony charges me twice before I can start playing God of War the way I like to play it.
What you're getting for the first time has functionality out of the box. You can fucking, watch streaming services on it. Pretty sure you can watch Blu-rays on it. You can browse the internet on it. I don't know why you would, because it's janky as fuck, but you could still do it.
Never mind the fact that the majority of Sony's exclusives are not online and don't have multiplayer, so you don't have to have a PSN account to play it.
Mm-hmm.
Look at these two idiots making comments replying to Icy. Clearly wrong and lying. Seventh, you got your PC for free, didn't you? So here's also a lie right here by Icy. Sony charges to play God of War not once but twice.
What?
Well, I think what he's trying to say is that you have to buy the system,
but you
and
don't.
Then you have to buy the game.
But you don't.
What he's trying to say.
You know why? Because you can play on PS Now. There you go. There you go. And the funny thing is, none of these guys want to play these games on PS Now when you're only charged once. Imagine that.
While that's technically true, I don't know if I'd use that as a valid argument due to how trash PS Now is.
It's true, but you know what? They don't want. They won't. They're saying they only want to pay once, so you have an option.
Well, here's the thing. Again, you're not. When you get a fucking PS4, you're not just paying for the ability to get the games. You have functionality out of the box.
But see what Icy is saying right here?
Technically, nowadays, consoles aren't consoles; they're set-top boxes.
Pretty much. But see
back in the day, when consoles can only had one feature, which was playing the games, they usually came in with a pack-in game, which was part of the price.
Yep.
But one PC gaming socialist argument I wanted to address is that they always say that games that are exclusive to one platform supposedly limit sales when compared to games that are multiplats. A mere 5-minute Google search will tell you that this argument is bullshit cubed. Yes, the super big name multiplats that appeal to the casuals and even non-gamers will outsell exclusives. You know, your Call of Duties, your Battlefields, sports games like Madden, your Destinies to a lesser extent. You get the idea. However, there are plenty of cases where exclusive games outsell multiplats. And I've got numbers to prove it. I mean, Super Mario Odyssey, Switch exclusive, sold nearly 16 million copies worldwide. God of War, PS4 exclusive, over 10 million worldwide. Spider-Man, PS4 exclusive, over 13 million worldwide. Now let's look at some multiplats.
Horizon sold 10 million too.
Let's look at some multiplats. Resident Evil 7, latest critically acclaimed, chronologically numbered game in a long-running and celebrated franchise. Take a wild guess how many units it sold.
I don't know.
Just under 7 million worldwide on all platforms combined. Cuphead just recently passed the 5 million mark worldwide on 3 separate platforms. Far Cry 5, it might be a slightly bad example, seeing as how the only real revered game in the series is Far Cry 3, but I've seen articles where Far Cry 5 was said to be one of Ubisoft's fastest selling games, yet it only sold a little over 5 million worldwide on 3 separate platforms. I mean, more of the story is that being multi-platform doesn't guarantee you shit in sales. So, yeah, that's another PC gaming socialist argument that's been effectively destroyed.
I'll give you another good example too. All you have to do is go back to 1983. You had the Intellivision, you had the ColecoVision, you had the Atari 2600, you had the 5200. Guess what? With the exception of the 5200, because it didn't have much of a library, you could get, for example, Donkey Kong on Intellivision, 2600, and ColecoVision. You could get Venture, which was considered a big game back then. You could get it on all 3. There was multiple big selling games as far as popular arcade titles, and they were all available on the same 3 systems. And so parents would go walking into the store. They didn't know which system to buy. They didn't know that the ColecoVision was way better graphically than the 2600. They looked at price, and by that time, prices were dropping, so there wasn't that much of an advantage there. Then when you add in the fact that both the Intellivision and the ColecoVision had 2600 adapters that you could buy to play all the 2600 games on them, it just got to the point where no one knew what to buy, and so they didn't buy.
Too many
choices.
But
Seven, those times don't exist in PC gaming socialists. Remember, apparently exclusives are a long, outdated business practice that has no place in today's gaming culture. Is that why the PS4 and Switch, the platforms that have the exclusives, are completely destroying the Xbox One, the platform that doesn't?
Yeah, I can't imagine why.
You got what was Icy saying? Oh, they're forcing me to buy a machine to play their game?
Forcing you how? It's video games. It's not a fucking bare necessity.
But you know what's funny? Nobody ever says that about Warcraft. Nobody ever says they forced me to buy a PC to play StarCraft. Nobody says they forced me to buy a PC to play Counter-Strike.
The MechWarrior 5, a lot of
BattleTech
games.
That's a point that they never try to refute or argue because they know that they can't. The bottom line, they talk about, consoles make me have to spend money to get into it. I don't have to do that with PC. Yes, you do, and you did because you paid for that PC.
Some of them, not many of them, but some of them I've interacted with have responded with, well, exclusives on PC are anti-consumer too. Okay, well, you're advocating for the fucking undercutting of your own platform then. But Bond, exclusives are anti-consumer because they monopolize the market.
At the same time, it's like, well, McDonald's has more capital, so how are we going to outbeat them at their own game while trying to beat them with less money? It doesn't work like that.
But it's true. It's true. The last time I walked into Walmart, I walked into the back, and like every shelf was just full of Death Stranding for PS4. All the other games were gone. It was just Death Stranding.
Just Death Stranding.
Total monopoly, man.
Now, correct me if I'm wrong. I'm pretty sure a monopoly has to be the exclusive possession or control of the supply of or a trade in a commodity or service. Keywords being commodity and service. I'm pretty sure games are not a service unless you're EA, in which case fuck off, which leaves commodity. Now, I'm pretty sure it's the video game industry as a whole that's the commodity, not specific or multiple IPs.
I remember what I was going to say now. About them complaining about how Epic Games has a monopoly on Borderlands 3. I'm like, well, how's that? They're like, what do you mean? You can only get it on the Epic Game Store. I'm like, no, I can buy the game on Green Man Gaming. I can buy the game on Xbox One. I can buy the game on PlayStation 4. I can go out to Best Buy and buy it, Target to buy it, Walmart to buy it, PlayStation Network to buy it, Xbox One, Xbox Live to buy it. How's that a monopoly?
Bond, you have to understand that the consoles might as well not even exist to these PC gaming socialists. Their fucking elitist high horse will not allow them to fucking get down on the peasant level. I mean, by these dipshits' logic, Batman being owned by DC Comics means DC has a monopoly on Batman, when the fictional character and universe of Batman doesn't even remotely qualify as a commodity or service.
You know what? Netflix, Disney Plus, and Amazon Prime should all take their made-for exclusive shows and put them on all their competitors' services. That way, there's not a monopoly.
Oh my god.
Exactly. And before any of you pseudo-intellectual dipshits pull this colloquial bullshit out of your asses, which I have personally seen and experienced, fuck off. No, seriously, get the fuck out of my face with your sloppy and transparent mental gymnastic bullshit. So you're either 100% serious and literal when you say exclusives are a gaming monopoly and are thus stupid and don't know what a monopoly actually is, or you're not using the word in a literal sense and thus are kneecapping your own argument by removing any potential validity it might have had, which was zero to begin with. So which is it, morons? Huh? Which door will y'all choose to open? Just a heads up spoiler alert though, massive exposure awaits on the other side of both. But yeah, that's just a few of the main arguments these PC gaming socialists use to convince themselves and try to convince others that exclusives are anti-consumer, and just how easy it is to completely destroy them. Notice in our rebuttals that we use actual evidence based on irrefutable empirical facts. What do these dipshits do in response to these facts? Downplay and or deny them and just repeat their same already rendered bullshit arguments ad nauseum. When you have to make that much of an effort to sidestep, ignore, downplay, disregard, and or outright deny facts, we're done here. We have nothing more to talk about, nothing more to say to each other, and at least as far as I'm concerned, your rational, decent human being card is revoked. I'm not going to continue to directly interact with what is essentially a sentient brick wall. There is no point, and it's a complete waste of my time. Time that I don't fucking have and can't afford to waste. The solution? Blocking these dumbasses so I no longer have to endure their willful idiocy and delusions. Quote, consoles are still behind in terms of advanced hardware and software. Unquote. Advanced. You mean advanced hardware and software. Man, you're just stumbling and fumbling all over the place with your shitty grammar. And again, what does this have to do with anything? Nobody has ever denied that consoles are factually vastly inferior to PC from a hardware and feature perspective. I've personally said this numerous times. As far as software goes, however, that's far more debatable. After all, exclusives are what make that debatable. Quote, 30 FPS is not a smooth gameplay experience. Unquote. Again, irrelevant, as there are plenty of console games, especially current gen ones, that are able to reach 60 FPS. Although I will say that statement perfectly personifies PC elitism. No, 30 FPS isn't as good as 60 FPS or higher, but it's still very much playable. It's only when you get below 30 FPS that it becomes a problem. Like what happens on the Switch, which is a system that a lot of you PC gaming socialist dumbasses often defend for some odd reason. Quote, and PewDiePie is not a racist, tongue emoji, unquote. What the hell does PewDiePie have to do with your retarded PC gaming socialism, clown? Nothing. Absolutely nothing. Although, like with Rags, if he isn't racist, why did he casually use the N-word? Not only that, also like Rags, he didn't even use the GGA version of the word and instead used the GGER version. A white guy just casually throwing that word around like it's nothing is highly suspect. Let's wrap this shit up. The last thing I want to address is his reason why he can't let this whole sub and viewership nonsense go. He wants to play the unqualified armchair psychologist by saying that my whole not caring stance when it comes to views and subs is complete bullshit and that views and subs are my primary motivation for making videos in the first place. Hey dipshit, if that was the case, why would I have started a second channel when common sense dictates that my view and sub counts would drastically suffer as a result from my original channel being terminated? If I care about views and subs as much as you claim I do, wouldn't that discourage me from making another channel where I wouldn't even get a fraction of the views and subs I got before? And yet, here I am conducting business as usual despite my sub and view numbers being brought back to nearly square one. Like with this video, my motivation was to publicly put you in your place regardless of who watches. Also, you can likely see it and post it on Twitter talking about, I'm so in this guy's head that he made a video about me. Except for the fact that I got in your head first with you coming into my Twitter mentions constantly. Get this straight, fucktard. You're not a psychic. Therefore, you have no earthly clue why I do the things that I do. You're not some esteemed psychologist that is able to read alternate meanings into the things that I say. You're just a dumb piece of shit, pseudo-intellectual PC gaming socialist that is talking out of his ass. Pretty much everything I've shown in this video proves that you're 100% unqualified to make any sort of valid and meaningful analytical observations whatsoever. Also, slandering means I have to be saying things that are intentionally untruthful in order to significantly damage the reputation of others. Everything I've ever said about you clowns is 100% factual, and I've pretty much proven that with this video. My research is the vast amount of experience going back and forth with you clowns, and considering all of my experiences with you simps have been 100% negative, Why the fuck would I put any care when it comes to talking about you dipshits? So yeah, this should put an end to all speculation as to why I blocked these morons. There is no speaking to them, there is no reasoning with them, and there is no debating them. They are a cult that live in their own fantasy world where all the pesky facts that destroy their bullshit arguments don't exist to them. Again, kinda like anti-vaxxers. For the people who wonder why I take such issue with people fanatically denying facts and reality, the anti-vaxxers are your motherfucking case study. They deny facts and reality to the point of being an actual threat to the well-being of others. Kind of like how the PC gaming socialists are a threat to the gaming industry, and it is imperative that they do not get their way. As a result, I hereby decree that PC gaming socialists are the anti-vaxxers of the gaming community, and thus are a rotten cancer to gaming and should be clowned and exposed with extreme prejudice. The great exposer has spoken. Try unfucking yourselves from your PC elitist and socialist high horse and get a fucking job so you can have all the platforms to be able to play all the games you want. Thank you and good night.